if we're working through a relatively large mouth opening here like this one is, I've just simulated a hollow form that we can play with here for a minute. And you can see in there, you can stick your fingers in there and feel it. So you want to make that surface really nice and clean in there. And with the captured boring bar system, we have the fingertip control. And I'm going to put a little more wax on this because I'm going to talk about getting tool marks off. And so I need to have all surfaces waxed up nice, the boring bar, the handle, the backrest, everything is going to be floating on a really thin layer of wax, okay? And you have to wax it periodically, quite often. Now, if you look at how easy this moves, it's just effortless. I can just touch it with my little finger, right? And so I have the fingertip control to, if yours doesn't move that easily, then we got to figure out what's dragging. I made my first tool rest out of wood, or first backrest out of wood, and I found that the drag on the wood between the wood and the metal was harder to control the tool mark. So metal on metal with a little bit of wax is the best way to get this fingertip control. So let me just measure just a little bit of this wall thickness. I've got the laser set up so that we're going to measure that undercut shoulder. Okay, so the laser set with maybe a fat 1/8 of an inch, almost 3/16 thick of a gap. Okay, so I'm going to go in here. I'm going to make the laser disappear. When the laser disappears, I stop cutting. Right. I'm going in here, and I feel that my swivel isn't swiveled up around enough to make a clean cut. It's kind of stalling out on me. So I could do two things. I could swivel the swivel around further and make a cleaner cut, or watch what I can do. I can move this backrest over a little bit and watch what happens. It gives me more swing to my handle so that I can get up and undercut those shoulders easier. Okay, so we're going to watch that laser disappear, and then when it disappears, when it's off of the surface, then I stop cutting. Okay, now here's a cut. I'm going to go all the way out. I'm going to make a cut. And I'm going to make it disappear. I'm going to make it disappear. Stop. 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 Okay, that's all measured now. Now, when I make those measurements, I'm going in and stopping and stopping. There's just naturally going to be little tiny tool marks in there left over from my measuring process. So now I'm going to just take a deep breath. I'm going to stand comfortably here just with my fingertips and go back and forth and clean up the tool marks. Hear the little hiss? That little hiss is what I'm after. The laser's gone. I can't see the laser anymore. So I want to just clean up the tool marks. Hear that little hiss where there's a high spot there? All right. And then we're going to stop and look at it. Let's blow the shavings out. It's on a severe angle. I can't see it very well, but I can sure feel it. And I stick my finger in there, and it's just perfect. I don't have any bumps or undulations. It's just nailed it. Now, that doesn't happen always the first time. You might have to go back and clean up a little bit of a tool mark, but I want to make sure that that's perfectly clean before I go on and move on to the next stage. And I'm going to reset the laser so that now there's going to be a gap through the second stage that we do. So the laser's in the wrong place now. I'm going to move it over so that there's a gap with the lasers on the arrow.
Laser up there.
Okay. And we're going to tighten it down. Double check it, make sure it didn't move when I tightened it. And now we're good to measure in another stage. Okay. So let's go measure some more. Make the laser disappear. Stop. 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 Okay, now that's far enough. I don't want to go too far without checking the laser again. I might have to move it. So now all that is measured. And what did it take me? 10 seconds to measure that little surface. Now I'm going to go back and clean up the tool marks. Fingertip control. If you go back and look at my body, just kind of naturally, I'm just standing here on one foot. I mean, I'm just relaxed. It's no big deal because it's no effort on my body at all. It's a finesse thing. And I'm going to clean up the tool marks. Now, let's pretend I've got a bad spot in there. I've got a little bump in there. You might even see it on the laser. You go, vroom, vroom, vroom. The laser might do this a little bit. You can see there's a little bit of a fat spot in there. You got to go back and clean it up and just feather it in very lightly on both sides of the fat spot and then work your way through it, okay? So let's stop and take a look and see what I have. I've got just a little fat spot right in the transition between the first stage and the second stage. I don't think we can see it with the camera because it's hidden in the shadows, but I can feel it with my finger, okay? So now how am I going to get that bad spot? If I try to clean it up again, clean it up again, clean it up again, we're working in no man's land. The laser's gone. We're getting thinner and thinner and thinner. I want to do it right the first or second time so that I don't make a thin wall here. So how am I going to tell where I'm at? The laser's gone. I can't see the laser anymore. With the lathe off now, I'm going to go back and forth, and I'm going to feel. There it is right there. I got a little bump, and you're going to feel a little ba-bump, ba-bump, ba-bump. I can't see the laser, and you really can't. I was watching for the boring bar to move in a little bump, and you really can't see it, but I can feel it. There's just a little bit of a bump there. All right? So now I'm going to rub back and forth across that bump. And then I'm going to turn the lathe on. After I have a little bit of a muscle memory going on here, we're going to turn the lathe on and just whisk across that surface. Listen to the hiss. And look at the speed that I move across that surface, very slowly. I don't want to go fast. If I go too fast, it's going to leave some torn out stuff in there. If I go slower, it's going to leave a cleaner cut. All right? So now I've gone back and forth along that high spot. Let's double check and see how we did. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Just wonderful in there. This is a very, very smooth arc in there, a nice surface, so no tool marks, no undulations. I don't normally sand on the inside of my hollow forms. I let little flaws and undulations stay there, but I want to clean them up pretty good. I want to keep that uniform wall thickness going. One of the things that I do with the cutter, this is a mock-up of one of the cutters, I never have the cutter facing right towards the sidewall of the vessel. I always use the radius around the side, and if you can see how it's sharpened around the side, it's not sharpened on this side because we don't go to the right, but we always go to the left, and so it's sharpened back here. That radius, that broad brush of a radius, is the same kind of a radius that a teardrop scraper would have. So now I have the swivel assembly so that I can use that to clean up my tool marks, and then I have got a broad brush to do it nice and clean. So that's what I was doing here. I was using this broad brush of that to clean up the inside and therefore get rid of all those tool marks. And it's a patience thing. Take it slow, do the pace across the surface slow, and use that wide, broad brush of the sharpened edge. If you can make that first cut or that last cut across the bottom really nice and clean, then you don't have to sand so much. So my whole tagline is that I'm into easy. I want to do it the easy way with just my fingertips, but comma in the same sentence, I don't like to sand. So I want to get all the tool marks I can off at the lathe, both on the inside and the outside of the hollow form. We can get that all cleaned up so that we don't have to sand so much.